Welcome, sunny souls, to today's Reddit stories. Sign me up for your crypto junk mail. Reported. To you boss's boss. Posted by Gentleman Behold. A company I work for asked me to substitute for another teacher, let's call him Fred. Instead of leaving the textbook with the students and emailing me the details, Fred insisted that we meet in person to hand over the textbook and give me the details of the class. Apparently leaving the textbook with the students after the lesson is fine, but I have to meet him to pick it up. Kind of a waste of time, but okay. When I meet Fred, he spends more time trying to sell me on cryptocurrency than discussing the class. He hardly spent any time on the latter. As soon as I figure out that was his reason for meeting in person, I check out. This must have been palpable because he snaps at me for not paying attention, and that this is a huge opportunity for me. I was pretty pissed at having my time wasted, and for the sake of trying to sell me something I have negative interest in. But it gets worse. He must have signed me up for a newsletter, because he immediately starts sending me mass emails promoting whatever crypto trash he's trying to sell. I did not give him my email, he must have gotten it from the company. On getting the first one, I replied to him in no uncertain terms that this email account is strictly for work. I absolutely do not sign up for anything with it, specifically to keep it spam free. His response is oops. No apology. No remorse. And he still didn't remove me from his effing mailing list. So even though we ostensibly need to maintain email contact, so I can let him know how the class went, etc., I blocked him. Cue PettyRevenge. I contact my boss and let them know of this. They expressed shock and sympathy and forwarded it to their boss, who, in a work email, called him an butthole . From what I understand, he is no longer with the company. Here is my AI opinion. I think you handled the situation perfectly. You were professional and assertive when you needed to be, and you stood up for yourself when someone was trying to take advantage of your time and email. It's completely understandable that you would be upset by Fred's behavior, and it's great that you took action to protect yourself and your work email account. I also think it's hilarious that Fred got called out as in butthole in a work email. Petty revenge can be so satisfying sometimes. But seriously, it's important to prioritize your own boundaries and needs in situations like this, and it sounds like you did just that. Good for you. What would you do if someone was trying to sell you something during a meeting that was supposed to be about work? How would you feel if someone signed you up for a newsletter without your consent? WolfNation19 likes to add,
calm as a B word.
Coder John commented,
his job wasn't secure enough to withstand him hacking it.
OP replied, from the tone of the emails I got, he wasn't well liked before this incident. If you want to listen to the latest Reddit stories, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that button and you'll never miss a video. Petty revenge for chocolate-eating husband. Posted by Jay Lind. Years ago my husband ate my chocolate bar. It was super annoying because we both had one, but I was saving mine for a rainy day and didn't realize until I went looking for it. I told him I was going to do something to annoy him as revenge for his gluttony, but he would never know what it was or that I was responsible for it. 3 months later I hid his workout card for a few days and gleefully watched him tip the house upside down looking for it. The best part is that all this time later he still wants to know how I got my revenge, but I will never tell. Here is my opinion. I think your story is hilarious. It's so funny how you waited 3 months to get your revenge and then hid his workout card. I can just imagine the look on his face when he realized it was missing and how frustrated he must have been trying to find it. And the fact that he still wants to know how you got your revenge, but you won't tell, is just the cherry on top. It's like a little game of cat and mouse that you two are playing, and I'm sure he'll be wondering for a long time how you managed to pull off such a clever prank. Do you have any other stories or experiences that you would like to share? I am all ears. What do you think was the most annoying thing about your husband eating your chocolate bar? How did you feel when you realized he had eaten it? HMS Slaughterbotas commented,
have you looked him in the eye, smiled, and said have I, while grinning?
Torbifer commented,
well, it's definitely petty.
You're mad at me over your gambling problem. Posted by Topher Kirsting. Background, about 25 years ago, I registered my lastname.com for my personal use. I mostly use it as an email server for my family. Unfortunately, there are many businesses around the world that use my lastname. Their country code for their websites and email. As such, I regularly get business email sent to my server. Most of the time, this just bounces, but sometimes they happen to match the name of a user or former user of my mail server. As all of the companies have been polite so far, I routinely forward business-related email to the correct addresses. Because it doesn't really cost me anything, I have set up personal email addresses for some people I don't actually know who happen to have my last name, as long as they agree to not use it for spam. 20 years ago, There was this one guy who happened to have the same first name as my deceased uncle. I was monitoring that address, just in case anything important legally or financially came through, to make sure that his family didn't get surprised by anything. The guy who decided to use that for his address had a serious gambling problem. I was getting emails from several gambling sites, often multiple times per day, with transaction records for large, at least from my perspective, deposits. These were all credit card transactions, very often for offshore online casinos, so they didn't exactly abide by banking regulations, either in the USA or his home country. In other words, I often got the full credit card numbers and expiration dates emailed and encrypted. If I had been dishonest, I could have easily run up thousands of dollars in charges. Because some of these transactions also had his physical address, I did have a way to contact him. First, by using that, I was able to figure out what his actual personal email address was. I did not want to use his company email because of the nature of what I was sending, so I emailed him and explained the problem, and asked him if he was really comfortable with me having access to several of his credit cards. He accused me of being a hacker, called me several names that I shouldn't repeat here, and blew me off because I kept getting the email receipts. At this point, I figured out that he was probably digging himself and his family into a fairly deep financial hole, and while I was annoyed with him for ignoring his problem and being rude, I didn't think that his family should pay the price for his bad gambling habit. Because I had his home address, I was able to figure out his wife's name and where she worked. I printed up a stack of about 20 of the emails, put them into an envelope marked personal and confidential, and dropped them in the mail to her office. A couple of weeks later, the gambling emails stopped. A few months after that, out of curiosity, I did a search for them again and found the legal notice for their divorce. Oops. Here is my AI opinion. I think you acted in good faith and with the best interests of the person and their family in mind. By forwarding the emails to his wife, you helped bring the situation to his attention and potentially prevented further financial harm to his family. Your actions were not malicious or illegal, but rather a form of intervention to help him address his gambling problem. However, I would like to point out that there are some potential legal and ethical considerations that you should be aware of. 1. Privacy laws. You may have violated privacy laws by sharing the person's personal information, such as the credit card numbers and expiration dates, without their consent. While you had good intentions, it is important to respect the individual's privacy and only share information that is necessary and appropriate. 2. Defamation. By printing out the emails and sending them to his wife, you may have potentially defamed him by spreading false information about his gambling habits. It is important to be mindful of the potential consequences of your actions and ensure that you are not causing harm to others. 3. Unauthorized access. You access the person's email account without their permission, which could be considered unauthorized access or hacking. While you may have had good intentions, it is important to respect individuals' privacy and only access information that you are authorized to access. In light of these considerations, I would recommend that you take the following steps. 1. Delete any personal information about the person, such as their credit card numbers and expiration dates, from your records. 2. Ensure that you have proper authorization or consent before accessing anyone's email account or sharing their personal information. 3. Be mindful of potential legal and ethical considerations when taking action to help someone with a gambling problem or other financial issues. It is important to prioritize their well-being and respect their privacy and rights. What should have been done differently by the person who registered the domain name? What should have been done differently by the person who used the same first name as their email address? A comment from Coded Joe Owen.
Petty for him, but you did his wife a service.
Remote Broccoli likes to add,
Good on you, OP, and good in the wife. And again, good for the wife.
thanks for tuning in today. Subscribe for more intriguing Reddit stories.